All right, Scrappy Doo. It's the Very A podcast. It's our 200th episode.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. I'm going to start with a little smoke. We don't have to start yapping our heads off, you know.
Okay. That sounds good to me.
You know what I mean?
Maybe I should light this other one.
Yeah. Yeah, let's fucking smoke together. Let's try to do this.
Oh, really? We should do that every time.
A couple smoke heads.
One flame, two joints.
That's us.
Yeah.
We're such one flame, two joints people.
This is my first smoke of the day, so I'm going to keep it light.
It's really light.
Yeah. I
Why
just
don't
need
you
a
light
little
one
twist.
of these?
Yeah, you're doing tobacco in yours.
I'm not doing tobacco in mine. You found an old spliff stranded in a doob tube at the bottom of your bag. And you said, look. And I was like, damn, that's a spliff. I know it is. I'm not really smoking spliffs right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, it must be a sign.
For the 200th episode, how could you not?
Does 200 episodes of this mean anything?
It means to me we can't be stopped. Like, we only need 200 listeners to go 200 episodes.
Last I doubt we even have that.
Yeah, so it's just about, I don't know, we must be doing it for us at some point. At this point.
Mm.
I'm glad we made it this far. They've become easier to do, which has been awesome.
Yeah.
Do you know how many episodes we've started and just like not done because you and I have gotten into a tiff?
You and I. We don't do that with guests.
No, of course not.
Let me think about this. This would be a funny thing to recollect.
What are we recollecting?
Just the history of our podcast, like the failed attempts.
Oh my God, we could probably...
Lost episodes?
Thank God we haven't saved them, like put them in a folder, but there's so many like... We start the recording and we get like 3 minutes in and we're like, fuck it, we're not doing this. Fuck it.
Yeah, totally. We don't do that anymore. What changed?
I think we're more comfortable.
I think you're more comfortable.
Yes, I needed to get more comfortable.
You're a lot more comfortable.
Because I realized if I was uncomfortable, you'd be like, let's not do this. And then we'd do all this setup and then...
Oh, I do it.
Yeah.
I want real enthusiasm. That I can work with. Fake, it's like, come on, we don't have to do this. Like, nobody's holding a gun to our head.
No, I know. I have real enthusiasm.
Yeah.
This is like, I think this is our best looking one yet, if you're watching us on the YouTube, because look at this beautiful painting that our friend Forrest Eagle D'Olympia. What a cool middle name.
Eagle.
Anyway, he's dope. He like at the beginning of quarantine came over and was like, hey, I was supposed to do a show with all my paintings, but now they don't have a home and maybe you guys could hold on to this one. And I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. This is incredible.
Oh my God, this made quarantine so much better because this takes up a big part of our living room where we have it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at it all the time and we trip here a lot. So I've had some moments with this thing for sure. It's probably hands down the best thing someone could give us. I'd say drugs is number 2. The top thing that you could offer to us, besides like your friendship and just paying with attention, is art.
Yeah.
Our apartment is a museum to our friends' art.
Yeah, thank goodness. It's so fun. I was and even you can't see it now, but our podcast case, it's like, once you just kind of commit to color and beautiful things and decorating, you're like, wow, like, look, this is a demarcation of time. I mean, I don't do tattoos, but I imagine how that would feel for someone who has tattoos. Like, you demarcate and...
Totally. I on our acid trip the other day that we did with Emma, I was looking at her tattoos and I was like, for some reason it just dawned on me because like I've always just like in my head kept the idea of tattoos. I'm just like, I'm not doing that. I don't care. Like whatever. And I understood it. Mm-hmm. And in a way I was like, tattooers are some of the most important artists out there.
Right.
Like think about the intimacy in which their art is done and it's permanent. Mm-hmm. And the moment you share with that person and you're putting your art on them and they're consenting to that. It's just like this beautiful exchange of information, and like you're saying, a demarcation of time, a demarcation of something really rad or something tragic that happened in that person's life. It's like this ritual. I just never really thought about it that much. I never really thought, like, what are you doing when you sit down and get a tattoo? And now I like totally have tapped into the exchange that goes on there, to the point where I'm like, do we need to fucking start doing this? I just turned 39. Maybe when I'm 40.
Yeah, I said
Start getting a tattoo every year.
Yeah. Definitely want to mark your 40th birthday. Happy birthday, Shawnee.
Oh, we don't have to do that.
No, but I want to. It's okay. I can tell you happy birthday.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about all that stuff. I'm not I think in my household and the way I was raised, like, seeking attention was not something that was going to get you attention or really worked or anything like that. So I think I just learned to be super mellow.
It's cool about birthdays is because, like, you can be very chill about them, but it does make you feel special. You kind of have a special day. And it sounds so silly, but just, like, being reminded on a day that different people care about you, or that you have people in your life that are like, hey, I'm psyched for you that you're getting older and that you're still here.
Yeah.
I think that's special.
Yeah, it's so fucking embarrassing how many people reach out and say shit like, thanks for doing what you do. I'm like, what do? I don't fucking do anything. I don't do anything. It's cute that people have that story. That's cool, but we're just doing what we have to do.
Well, I think that our podcast has become a lot more fun to me, especially in this time where it's like there's not much else we can be doing right now.
Yeah.
So investing in this just feels obvious. And also, I don't care if it's gratuitous. Like, I don't care if us sitting here right now is gratuitous, or if no one wants to watch, because it's just like adding to the river of time. You know, we're just getting to sit here and share this space, and then share it with other people, and they either enjoy it or don't enjoy it or spend time with us or not. But it's like the pressure or the expectation is just kind of, I don't know. I've decided that I need to get better at shit. And the only way I'm going to get better at shit is by doing the shit that's whatever it is I want to get better at. I just got to do it and not judge wherever I'm at.
Get better at something, get better at everything. That's what I think. You commit to, like you're doing with painting.
Yeah.
You're getting better at everything. You can see it because you're earning your focus.
Right. It is kind of like, it's like you enter a flow zone. And I mean, if you do it successfully, which, I mean, sitting down and being like, I'm going to paint this picture and I'm going to redraw this picture and then paint it is like, what else can you even think about? You're like, I got to figure out perspective of this line to this line. Am I doing the right color? Am I mixing the right color? It overtakes everything. And God, I love that so much.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
I mean, look at the focus that this must have taken, the vision and the focus, because everyone has that in them, but it takes discipline to unlock your focus.
Right.
Once you unlock your focus, man, you can really get into making some fucking dope art. And I think podcasts can be art. I think there's a trend right now to kind of poke fun at podcasters and make fun of them because there's so many of them. Oh, yeah. But that's bitterness. That's recreational bitterness.
I think everyone should start a podcast, and I think if you do, you should get our dope headsets because they sound good. We literally have someone outside, or there's a construction site next door going.
There's jackhammers going outside right now.
Yeah, we can hear them, but I don't think they're getting picked up on this.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Modern technology.
You know what I think of, and I don't expect an audience to pick up on this or care about this. But the work that we've done together, films and podcasts and whatever the other art, it feels important. It feels important to me. Like it feels like why I was put here. Yeah. So I want to honor that.
It feels like in alignment with you and who you want to be and what you want to do.
100% in alignment with who I want to be and what I want to do, and the spiritual practice of being a documentarian, whether it's through podcasts or documentary. Realigning, reimagining what things could be, reestablishing your relationship with people, with your environment. It's beautiful. And I also think, like, there's been no other time in human history where we could tap into how people just were
Right.
Not what people wrote, not even like the films that got made, but like we're at a point with media where we can just capture how people were.
Yeah.
Like none of the fucking editorializing, nothing else. And look, not everyone's films need to be like that or podcasts need to be like that, but that's what I love. That's what
Totally.
I love to the media that we love, the films that we love the most is when you can tap into like a little bit of like, whoa, they were like us and this is from 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
that rawness and realness.
Totally. Like when you see people at the festival, like when you see this footage from Woodstock, you know, people just, you know, get into a place, getting excited, you know, not a care in the world or care or whatever it is.
What a great film.
Yeah, that's
Woodstock.
really special.
Yeah. But even, and I doubt they thought of it like this, but when they shot all these Grateful Dead shows, like there's a lot of Grateful Dead shows. We've been watching a ton of them through quarantine, but there's a lot of Grateful Dead shows that got shot between 87 and 95.
Right.
Because that's when they started projecting them for the stadium audience.
Mm-hmm.
So they shot them. But what they also did was like capture a moment in time and how people were, and they cut to the audience shots, and I'm like, I don't know if everyone's like this. I'm just like fascinated.
Right.
You see me, I get all close to the screen. I'm like, look how these people are acting. Holy shit, that's how people on acid in the front row of a 1987 Grateful Dead show acted.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they looked.
Mm-hmm.
So I think kind of what we want to do with this podcast, it's kind of like the diary of a relationship. We're getting to know ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a rawness, I think, that there's no other time in history where it would have stood the test of time. I mean, maybe in letters, but totally. Even then, you're posturing a little bit.
I mean, it seems like it's just like so easy to do, and it is.
What?
Podcasting, like anyone could do it, like anyone should do it. But I will say it wasn't easy. It hasn't been easy for me. I honestly, when we first started doing this, I was so mortified by how I sounded on the podcast that I was like, okay, it's cool. Like, I just can't have kids because I can't have kids who then can go back and listen to these podcasts and just like be like, that's my mom. She's a total loser.
You used to think you were a loser?
Well, just like embarrassing. You still get embarrassed by yourself. It's just natural. But before I was like, no, this is just too much. This is just, you know, like, it's cool. Like, I'm just not going to have kids because I'm just like someone who shouldn't have kids. And, you know, but as you grow up and you get more mature and you get more comfortable in your own skin, you're like, okay, maybe there's like a little more forgiveness there and it's all good and all these good things, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's the beautiful thing about being this deep into an artistic practice, this deep into a relationship. I just turned 39, this deep into a life is, and if this ain't happening to you, maybe start to think about the way your life's going, but things loosen up over time. If as your life goes on, you're feeling more constricted, more backed into a corner, like, why?
Yeah.
Why is it going in that direction as opposed to things getting looser? We will talk about shit now that maybe used to get us into a fight.
Yeah.
Now we'll talk about it and laugh.
Yeah.
We'll laugh about shit that caused us to fight the day before. Mm-hmm. Like stuff that used to feel really like taboo to even go near. Both of us, like, and trust me, there's still this. We're not beyond this. But like the eggshells that you put around yourself, that you want people to walk on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just thinking about that earlier. I was like, oh man, time is such a gift. Time and experience and relating, because, I mean, 9-10 years deep into our relationship, I feel like we have a big enough sample size that we can get through a fight easier. Like, it does get easier. It really does. Yeah. Not saying anyone who gets in fights should stay in the relationship that they're in, but if you love each other and you want to, like, it does get easier because you're used to how the other person reacts. You're used to knowing, you know, for the first maybe 5 years of our relationship, every fight felt like, oh my God, this is over. And I have so much attachment.
I never thought that. That's so funny.
Well, not like over, but just kind of.
I don't know. I know what you mean, though. But I think we were in different positions in the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it felt more dramatic, or what do you mean?
It felt more dramatic. Maybe you were younger and thought like, yeah, I could easily just go start another life, and I might go do that. And like for me, this was that new life, and I'm like, not some fucking petty fight that we can't even remember now is not going to end this.
Yeah, but it can feel really serious in the moment. And when it feels serious, you have this attachment, and then you cling even harder, and then it gets just more dramatic, and you just cry or fight or whatever it is, rather than...
But it's not over. It's never over. I don't know what would make it over. If our sex got fucked up.
Sex getting fucked up, I think when you lose, like, respect for someone, you know?
Yeah, you're like, look at this fucking joker.
You're like, you're an idiot, you're an asshole, you're stupid, you know, or whatever. Like,
yo, the crazy thing is hanging out with couples who are like that, and they're still hanging in there for some reason.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, what are you doing?
Just break it off.
Yeah. I love it. You're the queen of telling people to break it off. Meanwhile, you would never do that yourself. You put up with so much fucking bullshit over the years. You put up with...
I love telling people to break it off because I think people don't even entertain that. And I entertain, that's what I'm saying. I entertain it with you. I mean, like, part of the reason that it's been so great not getting married. I mean, I know we're legally entangled with, like, businesses we own together and stuff, but we really are with each other because we want to be with each other, not because we have, like, a contract or an entanglement like that. No. Or
we got to get married every day.
Yeah, you got to. We say that all the time. We got to get remarried every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm fine with that. I like the accountability of not being your husband. Yeah. You'd look at me different if I was your husband.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, hey.
Be like, that schmuck.
Yeah. Because that word has been so imbued with dysfunction and, like, Homer Simpson vibe to me.
Husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with wife.
Wife.
That's my wife.
That's my wife. That's my wife you're talking about.
That's my fucking wife you're talking about. It's something about that's different than, like, that's my girlfriend. Like, who cares?
I don't know if we're talking about this in the right context. I think the context we're more talking about is when someone's like, yeah, the wife's saying I can't go out this weekend, you know.
Yeah, it's so funny when you see people doing that. It's just like, why don't you just say the truth? You don't want to go out, and you're using your wife as the excuse, and she probably knows that too.
Yeah, it's okay. That's why people... It's the only point of having a relationship is because you get to use them as an excuse.
I've never... See, we haven't done all that fucking cliche bullshit because we didn't do the cliche thing.
Right.
You know? I haven't been like, well, Cass will get mad if I do this, or Cass will get mad if I do that. I don't know. Everyone kind of knows you support me no matter what I do.
Yeah, but sometimes there's, like, 10 days of spliffs, and I'm like, come on.
That kind of shit? All you have to say, and this is a reference from one of our films, Florida Man, you say, I want you to live a long life.
I know.
And I'm like, yeah. And I put that down.
We got to live a long life together.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I've been thinking a lot about life, as I think we all have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wanting to live a long life, but also feeling very, like, more vulnerable than I've ever felt in life. That because you can know intellectually that tomorrow's not promised, but really feeling that tomorrow's not promised, it kind of feels like different.
That's fucking awesome.
It is pretty awesome. But it's also a little scary because I'm so attached to this reality. So, like, I'm so attached to you. I'm so, like, I'll hang out with someone and be like, oh my God, was that even worth it? I love them, and I loved hanging out with them, and in the moment it was worth it. But then you think, like, oh my God, does this mean I'm going to die?
Oh, I love it. I love all this. I mean, think of another year, probably not in our lifetime, that could get the blood coursing through your veins like this one.
I know.
Your hangouts with your friends are fucking life and death.
I know.
It's awesome.
It's crazy.
You're sitting there with this person who you invited into your life, and you're like, they could be the fucking Grim Reaper right now, for all I know. I don't know if they're bringing this thing into my life. I don't even know how vulnerable I am.
Yeah.
And they don't know.
Yeah.
So this, like, there's this risk you're taking that's kind of, like, a little sexy. Like, you're like, oh, like everyone you hang out with, you're like, oh, look at what we're doing. Right. We're sneaking off together. This is insane.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I mean, see this, I live for this shit. I don't live for the drone of comfort. I don't. Honestly,
if it was me, I probably wouldn't have seen anybody. And that's kind of the beautiful balance of our relationship is that.
Yeah, it makes me feel like a fucking douchebag, though. You know?
Because of your needs have caused us to put our life in the jeopardy.
God, it sounds so lame to even say my needs. It's just like my suggestions. I'm like, hey, we could take Molly, just us two, or we could get Zoe in the mix.
Yeah.
And it's like, inevitably, we're like, that was fucking crazy. That was wild. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah, her and Sandra came over. That was awesome.
Mm.
Yeah, talk about Molly. Oh my God. And talk about relationship. I feel so much harmony now because of the work we've done. And I know that everything's temporary, but at least I can have some gratitude for this temporary moment where I have the best relationship I've ever had with my mom, the best relationship I've ever had with my dad, the best relationship I've ever had with you, the best relationship I've ever had with your parents, the best relationship I've ever had with my friends in a lot of ways.
You're harmonizing.
Yeah, and I mean, I know there's room for improvement. I know there's people I could be closer to, but...
There's higher octaves.
Totally.
There's layers to this thing.
Totally. But at least right now it doesn't feel like when I do the MDMA that opens my heart that I'm like just I don't feel like it's just everything is kind of in its right place. It feels like that I don't a lot of times in previous experiences it's like you and I need to work through something.
We got to call our ex.
No, no, that's stupid.
No, I know.
But, just being like, Sean, I know I said that thing, but I love you,
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's not just Molly, but Molly being the one that brings that layer of it out the most.
Yeah.
But a lot of psychedelics. When we do them, I think of our trips years ago, is like when it would hit us, there was a lot of that, like, hey, let's just do the therapy thing real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's almost like that is so part of the fabric of our relationship that it's not taking psychedelics to bring that online.
Mm-hmm.
So we can just have fun. And you never know. You still never know when you take it. Like, oh, is this going to be fun? Is this going to be a hard time? Who knows what this is going to bring? But we took Molly on Sunday. Kind of a little birthday celebration for me.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is coming up for me right now. And I feel like it is helpful. This heart therapy book I read a few years ago, Open Heart Therapy. He said it's like this guy.
Good name.
Yeah, it's nice. This guy and his wife. He says what we say to each other is, "I love you and I'll never leave you." And I know you can't really truly promise that, but if you can assure someone of that in the moment, like I'm not gonna leave you, then there's just like this spaciousness for comfort.
Yeah.
Of being able to work through things. Like, and I think that's what I'm saying with our sample size. It's like, at this point, like, I'm not going to just like leave.
That's like, it's so funny because my parents have a beautiful relationship in so many ways, but they do not offer that to each other. They've been together like 42 years. You hear what it's like to be up there.
No,
the word divorce or I'm leaving probably gets thrown around on a daily basis.
It must be a game, though, because they must at some point both know.
That's what they don't know. They're in the game. But it feels tense to us. And then we're like, oh, that's just their love language. That's how extreme it is for them.
And that's what's cool
it's
about...
fine. I respect the shit out of it. It wouldn't be good for me because my nervous system can't handle it.
Yeah.
But it's great for them.
Yeah, abandonment's like one of your things or whatever.
Or whatever it is. I don't know. It was so funny the other day when we met up with Zoe. She was like, I listened to your last podcast. Are you okay? And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, you were acting the same way. We were like, what are you talking about? Like, your dad and like... I'm like, oh, that's par for the course up there.
Yeah.
There's always something. Like, my fucking household is fucking total insanity. Caitlin's having fucking grand mal seizures. This one's struggling with depression. This one is a rageaholic. This one's doing that. It's just fucking, it's a crazy situation. But, like, I think that, to me, practicing radical harmony and trying to harmonize with whatever that is, it's just made me a better person. It makes me better at handling anything.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this the other day because you were getting all domestic, and I was like, fuck, should we have a kid?
Can I just add one thing to that?
Yeah.
I wasn't getting all domestic. I think I was probably domestic for 10 seconds, and I was like, we can have a kid if you want. And Cass runs with this.
No, come on.
No, it's cool. It's cute. It's cute. Go with it. I want to hear what you're saying. So I'm getting all domestic.
You had a moment. I know it's a moment.
No, I know.
I know.
No,
It's a
I want to
moment.
have your kid. Trust me.
No, I know it's a moment, but I'm like, oh man, should we be like thoughtful about their astrology and like compatible and like talk about Planned Parenthood,
Yeah.
like, but then I was also thinking that each sign and each birth and each life and, brings in these sacred challenges,
Yeah.
and you can't protect your kid from that. You know what I mean? You
Why
can't,
would you want to?
and you also can't guarantee that they'll have a life of no struggle, or a friend who doesn't have this, or their parents that don't do this, or we can try to do our best, but there's no guarantees that their life is gonna be like
Yeah.
rainbows and butterflies.
The other thing is, the way I see it is like we think we're in control of this, but we probably already had this kid. This kid has already decided to come to us, and when, and how, and under what circumstances, and whether it's going to be a surprise or something we think we planned.
Yeah, probably in this reality, but we're in the multiverse. Like, this is one reality of multiple realities, so we could take a step to the right and step into a different one.
Yeah.
And that used to be really unnerving to me, that, that I could, because I thought there was like bad and good, and there's like a spectrum of bad and good realities, and I might be on the Ferris wheel and take some mushrooms or whatever and get off on the wrong level or something like that, kind of like Inception, like fuck, and then I forget that you're in a level.
Yeah.
And that still actually sounds really true to me, but in a way
It
that's
is.
less scary, because if I got onto one level, that means you can, like you were saying with the higher octaves, you can keep ascending. That sounds does that sound stupid?
No.
Like,
it's not stupid. It's exactly what's happening.
yeah.
When you play Mario Brothers, you don't keep playing the same fucking the first stage over and over again. World 1-1. You go on, and it gets harder. It makes you a better player.
Right, it's like balanced.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
But it's also, that leads me to not put anyone on a pedestal. I know we talk about this at all, but you just like know.
I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast.
Well, just inherently that everyone and everything has balance. Like, feels like a law of nature. And so, I don't know, you just don't get caught up on the good stuff or even get caught up in the bad stuff. Because it's like, okay, if you can just see the good stuff, trust that there's the bad stuff. If you can just see the bad stuff, trust that there's the good stuff.
Yeah. Where the compliments and the criticisms go down the same pipe.
Yeah.
And it's all nutrition. Yeah, it's all connection. It's all connection. Like I was saying, like, my parents bought me some Crocs. I'm walking around in these things, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm wearing Crocs, but I am, and I love it. And I see people looking at them, and then every now and then someone will say something. And I'm like, dude, you're just speaking to yourself. You trying to shame and embarrass me about these Crocs is just, you're only, and I can translate this in real time, you're only speaking to your desire to be this free motherfucker.
Right.
Get some Crocs.
Damn, you're a little late to the party, but they're fucking awesome.
I didn't think of them as a vehicle for awakening. I didn't realize what was going on. Yeah, I knew you were onto something. I knew you were happy with them and everything. And I don't know, I'd borrowed my dad's Crocs a couple times, but they were a size or two too small. So it just, it didn't fit.
You feel like you're walking on clouds.
Oh my God. I love it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I love it.
I think they're cute too. I think that you letting go into the Croc lifestyle, it's just letting go. It's like, I mean, I don't know. It's easy for me to say. I put comfort above pretty much anything else. And that has to do with me. That's my list of priorities. They're not universal.
Yeah, I mean, you put comfort, you're talking about like your clothes.
Right.
You care more about being comfortable than looking great.
100% of the time.
Yeah.
100% of the time.
I think that's the only reason I stood a chance with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, to even like make a little blip on your radar, because you're so beautiful and it's so obvious that if you were trying to do anything, you would have been blind to my type. You feel me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so how do you think you won me over?
your whatever your genetic and astrological makeup makes it so you don't care to peacock about that shit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're a little bit of a peacock. I remember I used to get really uncomfortable because we go to these shows or whatever, and everyone's just like simple and t-shirts and whatever, and you're like walking around with this yellow shawl around you.
This
Yeah.
I have to have with me when I trip.
Yeah, but it brings so much attention to you.
I didn't realize that. I don't know. I don't like peacocking because then when I notice that people are paying attention, I'm like, ugh.
No, but you can't help but stand out. Like, I think as much as you might say you don't like peacocking, you hate looking like you're just part of, like, you don't want to be a cog in a machine. So if you look like, if there's 10,000 people in a room and you look just like them, you're going to be even more uncomfortable than if you were standing out, right?
Yeah. I'm like a Where's Waldo type.
Yeah.
I'm a face in the crowd, but like you're like, oh, there he is. There's that motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah, these like minute decisions that we make about life or that have to do with our astrological makeup or whatever, where our list of priorities, comfort, aesthetic, whatever are, they lead to so many bigger decisions as far as like what kind of life you live, what kind of relationship you have, what kind of whatever.
How you're going to harmonize.
Right.
Because to me, that's the priority. That's something that when you start to transcend the right or wrong paradigm, you can start to harmonize with a lot more stuff. And when you throw on that lens, you start to figure out how to spot like what to you might feel like a bad note. And instead of repelling that thing, you kind of find it in you on how to work with that thing.
Yeah.
I know I'm being far out right now.
No,
I'm just buzzing.
I like it. I like it a lot. And it reminds me that when it gets to those Crocs, I'm going to talk about the Crocs.
This episode's brought to you by Crocs.
It's brought to you by Crocs.
Episode 200, the start of our second season of this podcast, is all going to be all about the money, baby.
Yeah. And we're going to manifest that money by talking about Crocs. And then Crocs is going to be like, we really want to advertise on your podcast. And we'll be like, okay, I guess you can. Just send us some free Crocs.
Hitting this bong for Crocs.
You know, other people who might see your Crocs and think like that's lame, and you think that is such a compass. You know, if you're like, oh, I don't like that, or that's not cool, or you're like, wow, that's cool, I wish I was cool and could wear Crocs. I don't know, I love jealousy. I love jealousy in myself because, you know, Forrest brings this huge painting and I'm like, damn, I wish I could do something like this. What the fuck? I just want to spend my time painting a fucking huge painting. And right now I'm starting with like little paintings like this big. But
yeah,
I'm like, fuck it. There's nothing we can't do, especially when you're questioning.
Your paintings are incredible.
Thanks, babe. You're my number one supporter. But the thing is, when you're facing death every day, the prospect of, you know, getting sick and having, you know, whatever it is go on, you're like, fuck, I want to spend part of today doing the thing I love, like painting cute animals. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. You're very lucky to be able to do that.
Very lucky.
And there's also another part of it. There's luck, but then there's like what we were saying before, finding your focus. Being able to focus your attention long enough to know you even want to do a painting, let alone know what you want to do that painting of, let alone imbuing it with your spirit.
It's crazy how doing your favorite thing can be so hard to like actually sit down and do it. You know, you're like, I love painting, this is my favorite thing to do, but it is easier to just like look at other people's paintings on Instagram, you know?
Yeah. I mean, same thing with everything we do. Yeah, I mean, we love filmmaking, but at the same time, we're like, pretty much everything else we do is like preferred in a way.
Because it's easier.
It's
instant gratification. I mean, you put a couple songs together, we play them down in Church of Chill, Sacred Parrot Heads episode, and that was so gratifying. That was so satisfying for us.
I know. It didn't cost any money. Nothing. We just were laughing about the idea of making like an album's worth of music called Sacred Parrot Head. And what would that sound like? What would the vibe feel like? Like, what would be the ideal vibe? And how would we get that across in music for something called Sacred Parrot Head?
It's like you took a piece of what you love about making movies and just like do it once a week. You're like, I
Yeah.
love putting music together for movies.
I love interviewing people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's all documentary. Like, our medium is documentary. We practice it with different brushes. The podcast is one of the brushes. Church of Chill is one of them, believe it or not. Yeah, that's our way of taking some of the money back, taking some of the power back. You know, I used to buy records. I own 500 records. I own 500, 1,000 CDs. The music I've listened to in the last 10 years plus, the music I've listened to since like 2005 doesn't exist anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to keep renting it. The music that feeds my soul, I have to keep renting it. Fuck that. We're going to take some of that offline. We're going to, as long as we can, take those mixes, take them off, you know?
Well, I think supporting artists is so important, and I think that's where it's like, but at the same time, doing these mixes, if you like a song, you can go listen to that song or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like an introduction.
Totally. Go see their show if there's ever shows again. Buy their record, do whatever. But yeah, I love the idea of us introducing people to a song that they love. You know? Oh I know how much it makes my day. And beyond makes my day. When someone sends us stuff that we really like, this painting, a song, whatever, some expression, oh my God.
Yeah, and also just like love doing it ourselves. And I think that's episode 200. I feel like this is a very chill episode. I feel like
don't have any expectations when you listen to us.
No. Definitely don't.
Leave your expectations at the door, man.
Yeah. But I don't know, I think where I'm at is just like grateful that we keep doing this despite it not being an obvious reason we're doing it. Except we keep connecting with cool people, and that's cool, and we keep getting better at chilling.
We keep making our best friends that we've ever met.
Yeah, that's true.
We wouldn't talk like this around our friends that we've known forever. There wouldn't be space to. So we get to blast out our rogue signal. Some scrub somewhere picks up on it, and they reach out. Like, these have become our best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, so
they say they're a fan, but they're our friend.
Yeah, if you've reached out to us, if you listen to us, if you listen to us for the next couple episodes and then drop off, whatever it is that your relationship with us is like, thank you, because it doesn't take much for us to feel really good about doing this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's therapeutic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's light another one of these motherfuckers.
Cool.
This is for all the people that listen to us and have reached out and said something nice. And if you've been too scared to, that's cool too. I don't think I've ever said anything nice to anyone.
Yeah, definitely no pressure. Yeah, ideally on the other side of this, there's like ways of getting together in person, you know, but
I think we're going to have a space camp.
Yeah, we've talked about that for a few years now.
But so much about what's gone on in 2020 has brought things even more into focus for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's going to make sense doing as we move on, and what's not going to make sense. Like, we're not going to be able to make a film this year. That's not happening. We're talking to a lot of highfalutin companies about who want our style of shit, and I'm just like, okay, cool, we'll keep talking to you, and if you want to put some money in our account, that's cool, but no one's making anything this year film-wise. This we can do. When I think about congregation, which I think is very important to us, as we've realized,
mm-hmm.
I think a space camp could be doable. Like some sort of thing where, and look, if anyone's hearing this and feels inspired to help us out, let's talk. But like, maybe we get just we team up with like Noah. Like, I think there's a lot of overlap between our audience and the Synchronicity audience. And it'd be fun to just get a bunch of people together who, on your way in, you bring a fucking corona test that says negative, and you come hang out with us for like 3 or 4 days.
I think where I'm getting clarity now is that
Space camp.
I don't want the liability, because I just can't. We just aren't in a position to handle that kind of liability. But
What's the liability?
Well,
Friends hanging out?
no, just hosting. There's so many campsites. It's almost like you just need to overtake a campsite.
That's what I'm saying.
So no one's responsible for all coming together, but we all decide on a weekend and are like, all right, let's go to this campsite this weekend.
Yeah.
And they already have showers. They have this. You bring a little stove. Maybe we could figure out some catering truck or something if everyone wants to eat food from, you know what I mean? There's a way to.
There's lots of ways to do it.
Yeah. We don't have to get into the logistics now, but
who cares?
Who cares? And when you're outside, there's also less transferable.
Yeah. And you know what would be a cool thing if we had stuck with it to be doing, I think would be more relevant now, is when we were doing the Church of Chill call-in show for Adult Swim.
Right.
They don't even have that studio or the ability to do that anymore, I don't think. But something like that could be fun from time to time.
Even on this episode, I wish we could have our computer open and just be like, FaceTime us.
Yeah, we could do is like we could have the computer here and a whole bunch of people like just sitting in a Zoom. Like they could just be watching us do this live, and then we could say like, let's do a little Q&A.
And I think that's why it's been so important for us to get to 200 episodes where you and I don't fight before an episode, so we can just like do an episode guarantee. And once you can do an episode guarantee, you can set the time that you're doing the episode.
It's so funny. I don't even want people to get the wrong idea. Like our fights would literally be like, they're not even fights. It was just clear that the podcast, it wasn't a time to do it. Like I would wake up and I'd be like, oh shit, probably good day to do a podcast. Let's just go do one. And you wouldn't have wanted to do that at all. And I don't realize that until like 3 minutes in the podcast and I'm talking to you and I'm looking into your eyes and there's just nothing there. And it just goes quiet. Not in a chill, like there's probably good, like quiet swaths in a lot of our podcasts, but not in that way. In the like, I don't got anything for you, dude.
Yeah, I'm just here because you wanted to.
Yeah. And I'm like, cool, yeah. We just turn this off. And maybe we throw a hissy fit where we don't want to be friends for like a half hour.
Yeah.
But then, eventually one of us gets hungry or horny or something.
Right. But just the fact that was even within the possibility, I'm like, we've matured. Like, this is still the beginning of this podcast. Very much so.
Yeah, this is the beginning of season 2. This wasn't even a thing, the first 100 episodes. Like, I always said that. I was like, look, these 100 episodes are to see if we can do this. At the time, it was if I could do this, because you were not joining me on this podcast for the life of you. So the first 100 episodes were like, let's see if we even have the ability to do this. Mm-hmm. And I was like, if we're doing a podcast, we're doing 100 episodes. And then these last 100 were definitely Vibe Tribe, finding the tribe.
Yeah, and now we're doing video, which kind of opens us up to a whole new world. Yeah. And a whole new way of us approaching it, and kind of realizing that I'm sure we're going to have lots more guests, but we just also want to really make this something that is chill and expand on just documenting a moment.
Yeah, totally. No matter whether there's a guest with us or not.
Or anything going on.
And you know what else I love about YouTube? That we put this on there?
What?
And if you're just listening to us, check us out on YouTube and leave a little comment or something.
Yeah.
What I love about YouTube is that people leave a little comment.
Yeah.
And it's YouTube. So they're not even necessarily fans of ours.
Yeah.
Who knows how they came across this fucking thing?
Yeah.
But sometimes they're pissed. I love that.
Right.
It's so awesome. It's like when we used to have our films only on Vimeo.
For the first 10 years.
10 years. Yeah. And then we're like, okay, well, let's see what's really going on. You put them on YouTube and you get some real ass feedback.
Nasty comments.
Nasty shit, man.
Not usually, like, because of who we film with, it's usually about the people that we film, and that's even worse to me.
It breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart, but it's also why we made the films.
Right.
To reveal that. Because, like, I want them to be, like, psychedelics in that way.
Yeah, someone posted on the American Juggalo movie the other day in the YouTube comments saying, like, the comments on here are making me cry. And I'm like, I feel the same way. People are so mean.
People say, we should drop a nuclear bomb on that place. They say the same thing about Oceana from our film Oceana.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. You get a lot of the same type of comments. Someone wrote a comment on Oceana the other day saying, the filmmaker ruined this film from the first frame by showing a hatchet man. Because the opening of Oceana is a guy holding up his brother's Juggalo shirt. It's like such a stark image to me. It made me cry.
Mm-hmm.
Like he held up. He said this was his shirt and has a hatchet man on it because his brother was a Juggalo and his brother had died. So he's holding up this shirt and he smells it and he goes, it still smells like him. And like in that moment when we were shooting it, I was like, this is the opening of our movie right here. And we got back and it worked really well. And like, to me, the image of that movie starting with an empty coat hanger, a lost soul, somebody is not here anymore, and ending with a newborn baby, a baby that was hours old,
mm-hmm.
from a couple that we had been following through Oceana. I think, I mean, like, those are the types of decisions I was trying to make. But also, don't judge a fucking Juggalo. Don't judge these addicts. Don't judge anyone. Like, dude, you're off on a bad trip already. If the first frame of this film made you write off these people because it involved Juggaloism, look into your heart. And there's also little things I get off on as a filmmaker, like our last film was American Juggalo, and a lot of people saw that. And the first frame of our next film is kind of a continuation. Like, when we were making American Juggalo, I was like, I want to go back with somebody. I want to go back into their town and see what it's like there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we stumbled across Oceana, and it's almost as if that's what we did.
Yeah, because when you're doing a documentary, it's so personal, like what you're interested in, what you're all about. And I think that's where the podcast is too. It's like, this is what we're up to. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, we try to grow fast enough to keep people listening because we want to have something to offer.
This is how we grow.
Right.
This is how we grow. This is our, like, if we were comedians, this would be like us getting on stage at whatever, the Comedy Cellar, and just doing our 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's what's so cool about anyone watching, because I'm like, I'm putting in my 10,000 hours. If you're spending any time hanging out with me during this time, like, God bless you, that's cool. But this is like, I gotta just do this. I don't know why. It just has to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. We want to become better people. That's the goal.
Yeah.
We want to harmonize. We want to stay together.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And to stay together, the best way to do that would be to be in harmony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this podcast has been more important to you than me at certain times, and probably more important to me than you at certain times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I know that there's part of the reason that we keep doing this is, like, I want to impress you. Like, I want to get more chill at this so you like me, and I also don't want to, I don't want to become irrelevant to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing stuff together is so a part of who we are.
You stepped up so hardcore. We've talked about this, but we don't talk about this behind the scenes shit on the podcast, really. But, like, I don't know. I'm not encouraging anyone to do this, but if you listen to, like, an older episode,
Please don't. Yeah.
You know, you just, like, just something clicked one day, and you're like, oh, I see why we do a podcast. I see why we want to keep doing it. I see why we want to be consistent, and I see why I want to evolve my voice through this.
Well, I think that's with anything.
And you just started doing it.
I think that's with anything is, like, you can spend all this time having the hangover, but if you just take the hangover and let that drag out and not apply it toward actually getting better and letting go and that whole thing, you're kind of like, the joke's on you. And that's kind of where I got to. I was like, all right, fuck, I'm going to be hungover from this podcast. I'm going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to probably embarrass myself. I'm not going to be able to have kids. It's all this stuff. But, like, I refuse to let the joke be on me. And the only way to not let the joke be on me is, like, to trudge forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the only time the joke's really on you is when you've somehow constructed a worldview where you shouldn't be expressing yourself.
Yeah, no, I know. That's
where
what I'm
you
saying.
don't deserve it for some reason, where everyone else does. And God, you know how often we hear people say this, and it's probably come out of your mouth many times. Like, I'm not an artist. I'm not creative. Yeah, you fucking are.
Well,
Yeah, you
I
are.
think I've come to think
Not
that
you.
no, I know.
You definitely, but like
And
everyone.
yeah, that's what allowed me to accept the artist within myself, is realizing that everyone else is. I had to like give permission for everyone else to be an artist in order to give permission to myself.
Yeah.
You know, in the art of making food, the art of talking to someone, the art of, you know, everything that you possibly could do, how you make your bed in the morning, whether you fold your clothes, whether you stay organized, how you pick up a pencil, how you write your name, you know, what order you do stuff in. It's like all creative decisions.
Yeah.
And so like I granted permission to everyone else in the entire universe to see them as artists, and I'm like, "Oh, now I get to be one," you know?
And actually doing it, actually making art and making that a practice in your life is such a subversive act in a world that wants you to work and be small and feel, not just be in debt, but feel in debt and feel small.
Mm-hmm.
In a world that's trying to steer you towards that, in a world that's trying to make you feel more constricted as you get older, that's making you fear the end. That's shrouding and distracting you with comfort to pop out of all that and to try to decorate this place with beautiful stuff. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a radical act.
Well, and by doing it, I know this because other people do this for me, is like by you deciding to paint a picture or learn the drums or whatever the fuck you're doing. Like I think of Andrew and Zach, like they inspired me so much.
Yeah.
Because they make good money being first ACs. They're badass, but they're also...
They pull focus like motherfuckers. They build cameras. They're talented writers and DPs.
Yeah, but then they become a writer or a director. Andrew just sent
us his new zine.
His new zine.
It's called Strange Times. It's by Andrew Jewell.
They have a badass band together.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Small Drag.
Yeah, Small Drag. And I'm like, wait, do I want to be part of that stream of flow of like inspiring someone to do something?
Yeah.
Like even because they're
Hell
like,
yeah.
oh, that's not that good. I could fucking paint a pug better than her. It's like, yes, do it. Like I want to see your pug.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do want to see your pug.
Send me your pugs.
Please. We have a new pug in our life named Magic.
Very sweet Magic.
Yeah.
See, that's what I meant. Like there's certain things that like you getting all like warm and fuzzy about a pug is like you being a little domestic. It's not a diss. It's just...
no, I know. That pug came into our life and everybody was just talking to us about how we should have kids. We should have a pug.
It was tempting. We were like, let's get an albino pug.
No. You don't want a little albino pug freaking us out while we trip.
No, I'm sure it's really sweet, but no, I barely, I say this all the time. I'm not ready to take care of anything.
Yeah, I mean the thing with us is we don't really want for anything besides to create something.
I love to sleep late.
Oh man.
There's going to be a day where that switches, where I'm like up at the crack of dawn and I want a million things to do and take care of. Or if I have a million things to do and take care of, I'm going to be so grateful for it and be like, I asked for this, I want this, I love it, blah, blah, blah. But like right now, like I'm loving.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like I'm trying not to get attached to it, but like our life is so dope right now. We were in bed for an hour and 45 minutes tuning to each other in different ways with our different practices before we even came out here.
Mm-hmm.
Before we even attempted to take on our day. And we had to build that for ourselves. There's no job you're going to go get that's going to be like, we get it. We're not going to bother you till like 1 p.m. and we'll let you off the hook around 4:20. There's no job that's going to do that.
I think that people would be more productive though if there was a job like that.
Hell yeah.
If there were jobs like that. I mean, that's how we self-employ ourselves. We're self-employed.
Yeah.
Our job, we work from like 1 to 4:20. That's like a perfect time.
I don't think I do that.
Well, yeah.
I think I work for 2 hours in the entire year. And it's the stuff that feels like work. But what I do, I fucking come up with fucking new films. I don't know if we'll ever make them, but that's what I feel like I do.
You're an ideas man.
I guess.
And you're like Don Draper, where he has to like go out and be a wild man in order to have that like idea that clicks.
Oh my God. That's so funny. Because we did have a wild night. And then the next morning, I came up with an idea that you were like, this is the next thing we're going to make.
That's so true.
And you just started reaching out to producers who were like, this is the next thing you're going to make.
Yeah.
And it all came from just a beautiful day of taking Molly and 3 gorgeous women showing me their titties all day, and like, you know, just
It wasn't a non-sexual, but yeah, there was
no, it
something
wasn't
about
sexual.
like
It wasn't.
it was just
it
so
was
hot.
sexy, but not sexual.
And that's what was cool, because like when it's this hot out, like titties just end up flying all over the place, slipping out, intentionally or unintentionally.
Yeah. Oh God.
'Cause
Y'all
you
were
just-
making my day. You guys were making each other's day, but like, you have no idea what it was like to just fucking be that high and just bear witness to.
Girls being like showing each other their it's
Are
it's
my
loose.
titties the most perfect thing you've ever seen, or are yours? It's like, fucking Jesus Christ.
I think that's where I've loved being so comfortable that sex and sexuality used to make me uncomfortable, but now like I know what my boundaries are and what my interests are.
Yeah.
That like
We could push it.
you can push it because you're
Yeah.
like, I can be whatever loose because
I'm not
know.
gonna fuck this person.
Yeah, we're not fucking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't. No one's gonna like. I don't want them to feel. And
Or maybe I am.
yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just fun and it can be fun and funny. But the truth of the matter is, we're not sluts. You know what I mean? We're not
Hell no.
promiscuous people.
No.
And I have enough of a sample size to know I'm not a promiscuous person.
Yeah.
So it's allowed me, like, and I also know that I won't do anything unless it's comfortable to me,
Yeah.
which is like, so I know if I'm like getting into a situation, like it's because it's comfortable to me. And consent and enthusiasm, like those are the sexiest things to me. So like it's not going to be weird because I don't want to have sex with pretty much anyone because I'm not a promiscuous or super sexual person. Like I'm not looking for new partners. That's not what I'm all about.
Oh my God, there's probably people listening to this just laughing because they've listened to us for 5 years and heard our sexual evolution. And
To me, I'm not promiscuous. Maybe in like the larger context of a monogamous 10-year relationship, you'd be like, you're very not promiscuous.
I think over the course of us doing this podcast, which is us taking psychedelics, that's how long we've been doing this podcast pretty much since we found acid.
Yeah.
We recorded our first episode the day before we took acid for the first time.
Right.
With Ayla. Yeah, I think what we've realized is what sex is, and it's not something like that we want to like consume the way that we're taught to consume so many things.
Mm-hmm.
So it needs to be right. It's so sacred, and it's become so sacred to us that to mix up that energy with somebody else, like we know what it is as much as like you want to, the temptation's there. Mm-hmm. We know what it is. So there's a lot more factors, you know, like sometimes it's undeniable. You're like, okay, you meet a person like us with Carrie. We're like, we're going to be exchanging sexual karma, but we're willing to take that on. We're willing to fucking take on goddamn coronavirus. Fuck it. Let's do it. And we got down and we have some good times. But we also, I think, have learned how to read the situation for what it is, not just like, oh, it'd be really fun to do this tonight, but like more like we're going to be, as Jada Pinkett says, like entangled with this person a little bit after this.
Yeah, to the point where when you're like, oh, I know we have a sexy vibe with this person, but then when you don't have sex with them, you're kind of relieved. Yeah. You're like, oh, thank God it didn't go there, because now we don't have to even deal with the karma of it going there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But
then there's the opposite. You know?
What's the opposite?
The opposite would be like a situation where you're like, I don't think we can hang out with this person anymore unless we have sex with them.
That sounds so fucked up, though.
Fucked up?
That doesn't sound hard. Like you're like, I can't be friends with someone.
I'm talking about people we barely fucking know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you're like, all right, this is like, we have a vibe, and if we're not able to like ride that vibe, we probably just shouldn't even hang out.
No, like this person's making it clear they would do this, and they want to, and here we are, and we're like, so the friendship isn't there. You can't really have that friendship.
Right.
So it's like, hey, are we gonna just do this, or can we just stop hanging out with this person because it's so weird?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't want to sexually...
Maybe that does sound fucked up, but...
You don't want to sexually objectify someone or be sexually objectified.
No.
Both are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not speaking gospel right now. Like, this is not nor do we ever claim to be speaking gospel, but especially this. Like, I think we wanted to have a very loose time.
Yeah. We're just fucking around.
Yeah, yeah. But that Molly definitely moves some fucking energy. Good God. And we don't take that much. Take 120 milligrams on an empty stomach.
Yeah, like once every 4 months.
Once every 4 months. So when the season changes.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less. We always say we're going to take it once every 4 months, and then it ends up being like once every 8.
Yeah, it's nice to do it with other people because you can have like a very memorable thing. Like, remember when they came over and that was so fun? Or we went to this, or it was Halloween, or, you know, the Ween concert, or whatever it is. You know, you like demarcate it with something very fun. But we've also had ones where it's just you and I. That's been like very intentional.
Yeah, I like to, when we're working with any medicine, to think of like trilogies of trips. Like, oh, we're going to take acid. This is going to be the first part of a trilogy. And the first one, yeah, we might include some friends. Like, that's going to be more like, oh, cool, we're having happy fun time. 1 tab, you know, a tab and a half. Then there's going to be the, like, you and I bonding on a tab and a half. And then the last part of the trilogy is like 2 tabs quiet. We're not really even saying anything to each other. You know, we've done that with Molly. We've done that with acid. We've done that with mushrooms. But like, I feel like those are like the stages.
Right.
Those are the films of the trilogy.
Yeah, everything in moderation. Like the wild friends, ecstatic trips.
I don't want to try to have like my great time, fucking peak fun time with my friends, but also bonding with music, but also having a spiritual experience all at once. I'm like, let's have this trip try to be more about just loose fun fucking time, listening to the Grateful Dead and laughing.
Right.
And then the next one is like, let's not even put on music.
Right.
And then the next one is like, let's not even be around each other.
Sometimes it's hard to make those decisions in the beginning because sometimes you think like, oh, this trip feels serious, and then you end up laughing the whole time, and you're like, oh, look at us thinking this was going to be like a whole serious experience.
That's when I did it with you and Emma, and I was like inside having ayahuasca purges from both ends. I'm straight up like deep in ayahuasca land from a tab of acid. What the fuck?
Right.
And I was like, I'm done. I'm on the sidelines of this motherfucker. I'm embarrassed. I want to have a good time with these girls, and I'm in here like a fucking fool. And next thing you know, I'm great. I was the fucking king of the butterflies.
You were a butterfly king.
Yeah.
The butterflies loved you. They kept circling around your head.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah. They could feel that my crown chakra was blasted open.
Yeah.
And the light was pouring in.
They wanted a taste of that.
Yeah. Yeah, but they wanted to taste the waste, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What's next, Cassie?
In our podcast and our life and what we should talk about.
Sure.
All those things. Fuck, I don't even know what's next. I know it's just keep going and have a great time.
I think that's part of harmonizing. Is like, you can't expect to harmonize with the world if you're holding the same note all the time. So we have to be prepared to have a wide range of octaves.
Yeah, we drank coffee this time, but I feel like this was like particularly chill episode.
I had to smoke weed the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if coffee serves me.
You feel it in your heart.
I just feel, yeah, pretty much. But it's not like light on my heart. It's a little like scrunched. I feel great, but like, I don't know. It's a little too much.
Too much.
Yeah. You seem fine.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good. I've been having fucking weird fucking dreams though, man. I don't even want to talk about my dreams. Like, I'm not going to talk about my dreams. All I can say is they've been weird, and I've been keep doing edibles, and I wake up and I'm like, how do I keep having the craziest dream? Isn't edibles supposed to...
I don't know. You've also been taking 5-HTP.
Oh, yeah, maybe that. And then also just, like, watching some really weird media. Like, watching that whole Waco series, finally. That was crazy what happened down there.
That's a good series.
It was well done.
Really well done. Michael Shannon.
Mm-hmm.
It's just called Waco. And the guy that played David Koresh was incredible.
Yeah. You see, it was such a, I mean, awful event that happened, where like the FBI pretty much murdered this community, this religious community.
75 people.
Yeah, and but I realized at the end of it, I was like, they did their intended purpose.
The FBI?
Yeah, the intended purpose was like to scare people out of like thinking differently, living differently. I don't even know if in the moment they realized, they just like, they didn't want to get it more embarrassed. They were trying to put on a show of force. But the thing is, they have to put the show of force on to keep us all in line. And I'm saying it worked. Like, I'm someone who loves the idea of communal living, loves the idea of thinking differently, loves the idea of having a community that's based around spirituality and ascension and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's stories like that that scare the shit out of me and say it's not even worth it. It's not even worth the effort. It's like, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine.
And that was pumped out on, that was like one of the original OG, like CNN, like you're glued to CNN in 1993 to see what was going to happen over this 40-day standoff. 43 days or something like that.
Right.
Standoff between the FBI and what they call a cult, but I don't know what's not a cult.
Right.
Yeah. And they killed these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
They could have just walked away.
No, they admit that, but they can't. Because if they did, what does that send people? What kind of message does that send?
Yeah.
The American public. It's like,
the truth is, these people weren't harming anyone. Everything they were doing was legal, even though you could frown upon a lot of the stuff. Like, you know, this guy was definitely a polygamist, having kids with everybody in there that he could, and doing some weird shit. But it was, for the most part, consenting adults who were there, who were living very simple lives, but they were living in harmony. And that shit is a fucking threat to this empire.
mm-hmm.
People figuring out another way of doing it and harmonizing, and that coming off well to the point where this place was attracting hundreds of people.
Right. The thing that you reminded me, because I always think like, oh, maybe we should like try to find some land somewhere for like $50,000 or if that even exists. But I know there is land where you can get acres somewhere upstate New York with however many acres, and maybe other people would want to go in on it with us, and we could all like, you know, have little tiny houses. And you're like, you can't do that. No. You know what I mean? You can't. That's not allowed. Like, they have zoning restrictions.
Of course, because they already know. People have tried this before.
And
communal living isn't a new thing.
I don't even think it's that they're so much against communal living. I mean, yes, but what you were saying that was like just a like aha moment was that it's a war on the poor. Like, if
it's to make sure that we don't go and buy a piece of land for $50,000 that's say 20 acres and put 20 tiny homes on there. Yeah. And start saying, "Come here."
Yeah, they don't want that.
No, it starts to upset the balance of things.
Mm-hmm. They need people desperate, needing their next paycheck.
Yeah.
Needing to go to work, needing to get health insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all designed intentionally. Like, people, whenever someone's making a rule, they're usually putting their own self-interest first, right?
Absolutely. I mean, America, this place that we're in is designed for your extinction, whoever the fuck you are. It's coming for you. It wants you on the brink. It wants you on the edge of precarity all the time, because that's what makes good consumers. That's what makes good workers. That's what makes obedient masses. And to resist that, and to make art, and to find out how to harmonize, even with the people you disagree with. This is shit we're working on. But practicing radical harmony, that flies in the face of everything that this empire is all about. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of where the revolution starts.
Right on.
Yeah.
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 One more bong hit.
Cool.
Would you like one?
A bong hit?
Yeah.
You know what happened last time I took a bong hit? I fucking coughed a brain out.
So what? We're ending this.
Yeah, that's true.
Episode 200. Thanks for hanging with us. Coming at you.
Thanks for being awesome. Sometimes I'm like, it doesn't matter who listens to us or if anyone listens to us. But then when I find out who is listening to us and I'm like, wow, you're so much cooler than we are. I'm like,
God, everyone that reaches out to us. I'm like, you're fucking 10 times smarter and cooler than us. There you go, Cass. My little sweet little juggalette.
can I have water? Agua.
That was righteous. Here's one more.
You love that bong. It's your new best friend.
Bring it everywhere with us. We used to travel with the volcano vaporizer like that, but now it's this bong.
Too bad you can't get alcohol to clean that thing, though.
I know. Yeah, if anyone has a lead on alcohol that has 91% in it, so I could clean this fucking thing. It's been a minute. Looking good, baby.
Really fun.
You're so awesome.
You're awesome.
Thanks for doing this.
Everyone listening, you're awesome. Thanks for hanging with us to this point. It's been fun. We appreciate you. We love you.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.